Mark Kermode isn't one to mince his words. As a seasoned film critic, he's sat through the good, the bad and the indifferent, and he's not easily impressed. So when he says he's just seen the film of the year, we sit up and take notice. And when he meets the film's director, we know we want to be there.
The man we're about to meet is, in my opinion, the new Orson Welles. He's a director, writer, producer, a philosopher, a man with an extraordinary knowledge of art, and the finest living exponent of fabulous film. His name is Guillermo Del Torro. Since the early 90s, Del Torro has divided his time between personal European projects, such as the vampiric chiller Kronos and the ghostly Spanish Civil War drama The Devil's Backbone, and more mainstream Hollywood fare, such as Blade 2 and Hellboy. For years, he's been a hero among horror fans, but now everyone's catching on. Del Torro's new movie, Pan's Labyrinth, is the culmination of his career, a Citizen Kane of fantasy cinema, which addresses the politics of post-Civil War Spain as an extraordinary fairy tale peopled by a menagerie of beautiful monsters. It is, without doubt, the best film of the year, and you need to go and see it.
Hola, soy la princesa Moana y no te tengo miedo. ¿No te da vergüenza estar aquí abajo comiéndote los bichitos?
So, firstly, Guillermo, in your own words, just tell me a little about the narrative of Pan's Labyrinth.
Well, it is the improbable story of a princess who forgot who she was and where she came from, and that reincarnates in the body of an 11-year-old girl during 1944 fascist Spain, and her journey and her learning about choice and disobedience. Her fantasy world is as harrowing and as challenging as the real world, but it's her world. She has created and coded a thing she can live in, a world she can live in, because the place she was born in is no place for her to be. And that is very personal to me.
You said to me once that the most fragile part of you was a part that was literally transformed by monsters.
Yes.
What does that mean?
Well, I literally, when I was a child, I saw monsters. I saw them like I would see a person, and I would pee in my bed every night. And there was a moment when I got punished again and again, and one night I stood on the crib and I said to the monsters in the room, I said, if you allow me to go pee, I'll be your friend forever. And they allowed me to go pee. I never saw them again. Never saw them again. Wow. And there has been many times in my life when my life has been at its worst, and in those moments, fantasy literally has saved my sanity.
Now, I've known you for some years now, and all the time I've known you, you've kept notebooks with you in which you draw religiously, ideas that you have, and this seems to me to be something which is traced right back to your childhood. Mm-hmm. What is it about that drawing, that expression? Do you have your notebooks with you now?
I have one.
So they are your constant companions?
They are. I carry my notebook with me. The last note was made about 7 hours ago.
Right.
And
you basically detail all your ideas, all your experiences, all your imaginations.
Yeah, what I do is, look, these are notes for Pan, and
you have the drawing of the vegetable baby in there?
Yeah, there it is, the mandrake.
Another of the creatures in Pan's Labyrinth that strikes everyone who sees it is the image of the pale man. I know that you drew some inspiration from that, from the paintings of Goya.
And this painting, Saturn devouring his son, I first saw in the cover of a book when I was a child. I remember how shocked I was by the expression of madness, but also there is anguish in the face of Saturn.
Yeah.
It always struck me as one of the most brutal images I've ever saw. You know, and Goya had this sense, very Spanish sense of doom. You know, and it's very hard to translate that. Everything is so dark, everything is so much bigger than us. You know, there is an almost surrender to the darkness, you know, that brings peace. You know, this cliche about the Mexicans being in touch with mortality and death, it's ultimately true, because we surrender. We say, you know why we drink, you know why we dance all night? Because we're gonna die. And we like it. If we were not going to die, why bother? I'll do it tomorrow.
Guillermo, you know, when you discuss the film, you talk about art, you talk about Goya. As far as I'm concerned, you know, Pan's Labyrinth is up there. You could take any frame out of that movie, hang it on a wall in a gallery. It is a masterpiece.
Yeah.
Congratulations.
Thank you, man.
Very much.
Gracias.
The very erudite Guillermo Del Torro. You can see the real Goya for yourselves at an exhibition at the National Gallery of Scotland in Edinburgh, starting on December the 16th and focusing on his brutal depictions of madness and war. Well, I'm joined now by Mark Kermode, so basically we should see Pan's Labyrinth there, Mark.
You miss it at your peril. It's an absolute masterpiece. It's the best film of the year. It's one of those things that really reaffirms one's belief in the power of cinema. It is a gem. There is nothing wrong with it at all, and if you miss it, you will be missing the absolute cultural highlight of the year.
Well, maybe slightly unfair question now, I suppose, but what else is worth seeing this week?
You know, it is difficult going up against Pan's Labyrinth. Also out this week, a film called Hollywoodland, which is based on the true story of the death of the actor George Reeves, who became famous for playing Superman on television.
Maybe you ought to put that out.
Before.
Superman doesn't smoke.
I'm coming right back. Keep your mitts off my grub.
George Reeves, played by Ben Affleck.
Yeah, Ben Affleck playing a not very good actor and playing it very well. The story about what happened with George Reeves is that it's a suicide, but maybe it was a murder, maybe it was a conspiracy. And the movie is very melancholic about his career, very melancholic about his life. And at the centre of it, you have this very, very believable portrayal of an actor kind of down on his luck, who has a certain degree of talent, but not an enormous amount, but he's very charming and very likeable. And Affleck really pulls it together.
You've also seen Stranger Than Fiction this week, in which Will Ferrell is playing a character, or discovers that he's playing a character that is being written into a book by Emma Thompson. Let's just have a look at that.
Thus, Harold's watch thrust him into the immitigable path of fate. Little did he know that this simple, seemingly innocuous act would result in his imminent death.
What? What? Hey! Hello? What? Why?
And this is a comedy, so is it funny?
It's just all a little bit flat, it's all a little bit contrived. I mean, it's quite smart and it's quite clever, and some of the performances are quite good. I mean, Emma Thompson I've always liked. I think she's, you know, always worth the price of admission, and I think she, you know, she's an adventurous actress.
I really like Emma Thompson, because she seems to, you know, whatever role she's playing in, she just seems to really kind of get into the character, and you really believe in what she's doing.
She's a very, very good actress, and she's a great screenwriter. She wrote the screenplay for Sense and Sensibility, and actually one of her most recent films, Nanny McPhee, which is like Scary Mary Poppins, is a regular fixture in our house. It was slightly underrated by British critics, but it's a really good movie. And in a way, because I like her so much, means my expectations are really high, and that was part of the problem. I think part of the reason I was disappointed by Stranger Than Fiction.
Well, thanks very much, Mark. We're going to be hearing from Emma Thompson a little bit later on in the programme, when, inspired by that film, we asked her to select some of her favourite surreal moments.